All right, well, I'd like to start with a couple of Bible verses. John 12:46. I have come into the world as light, so that whoever believes in me may not remain in darkness. Ephesians 2:8. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God. This story is not my own. It's a story of God's great works. 3 years ago, my whole world was flipped upside down. I was over 5 years clean and sober, married with 3 children and one on the way. I was also a lukewarm Sunday Christian, all around unhappy with my life. My husband decided he had had enough of the growing responsibility of our family and left. I was absolutely devastated. I spent the next few months barely getting out of bed, crying and having panic attacks. I was hardly available to my children, who now only had me. I had quit going to church and shut God out completely. Soon after, I relapsed, and I was in deeper than I had ever been before. I began using intravenously. It was completely out of control. I was crippled by fear and pain, but I was utterly powerless over my addiction. Within 2 months of my relapse, I had put myself $10,000 in debt, went to jail for the first time, overdosed, lost my job, my house, my health, and worst of all, my kids. I wish I could say this was a wake-up call, but it certainly wasn't. I dug deeper into my addiction as a means of escape. For over a year, I fought to stay clean, in and out of rehabs, but mostly homeless, roaming the streets. I willingly placed myself in dangerous situations daily, chasing my next escape. I had been beaten, raped, and robbed, yet I continued on. I was so delusional, I honestly didn't know what was real and what wasn't anymore. I'd received word from my mom that the courts were filing for a termination of my parental rights. As I roamed around one day, I felt God calling me. Daughter, I love you. You haven't gone too far. Just let go and let me catch you. I tried to fight it. I was terrified of letting go. This meant letting go of my comfort, my numbness, and the little control I thought that I had left. He didn't let go. I found myself on the phone with a member of Narcotics Anonymous, and that night I was in a sober living house awaiting a bed in another treatment facility. Thank the Lord for his unfailing love and faithfulness. He will never forget one of his children. He will hold true to his promises. I will never forget the first day in that rehab. I was sitting on the patio alone, looking up at the sky, sun shining down, when I heard God speak to me again. You're in the right place now, child. Everything is going to work out for your good. Keep trusting me. I had chills and ended up with a huge smile on my face that lasted all evening. I found myself feeling joy, great joy. It was like night and day. While in treatment, I began reading my Bible daily for the first time in my life. I studied, hungry to know more about this amazing God that rescued me. Until then, I never truly knew him, though I pretended I did. The fellow women at this facility saw something in me that they wanted, so I began sharing with them. Many of us started praying together and seeing hope for our shattered lives. God literally changed me from the inside out. So much so that even my mom didn't recognize me. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. While looking for a discharge plan and praying diligently about it, I found a faith-based transitional living home for women in McPherson. When I found out they had a rigorous application process, I was a bit discouraged. All my life, I've trained myself to be an excellent runner. Only from things I think that will be difficult, that is. This time, though, I persevered, and it paid off. I was accepted into the home. I grew into a more intimate relationship with Christ there. While living there, I went to the court hearing for termination of my parental rights. The judge dismissed the termination. He gave me a chance to prove myself. All of the court officials were in shock. I was told this is an extremely rare occurrence. Most of us here know something like this can only be explained by a miracle by God. 3 short months later, my kids were home with me. Another miracle. Since then, I have secured a job that allows me to care for my family without government assistance, and I have a home of my own. I now have over 18 months clean and sober. God has restored my family and saved my soul. Joel 2:25a, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. It hasn't been easy, and it still isn't. I struggle. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed with all that I have on my plate. Sometimes I take on tomorrow's worries and try to control the outcomes. I don't always let God have his rightful place in my life. Nobody has ever said that the path God has planned is a cakewalk. He keeps bringing me to greater heights. He changes my heart and mind daily. Today, I don't even recognize the woman I have become. My coworkers often comment on how positive and joyful I am. Most often, I seriously wonder if they're really talking about me. I was exactly the opposite for most of my life. I thank God for not giving up on me. He created us all perfectly. He made no mistake. This fallen world and the war for our souls can leave us broken and battered, but God uses that very brokenness for good and for his glory. Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Thank you.